Straight ahead on CCX News, rescued from flooding. A Golden Valley animal shelter steps in to save pets waiting to be adopted. Plus, a local community college's dreamers. North Hennepin students balance school life with immigration worries. And later in Health Check, addicted to sugar. What having a sweet tooth could mean for your health. CCX News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. We will have those stories in just a moment, but first, charges are filed in that fire that closed a Brooklyn Park grocery store for nearly 2 months.
It turns out police believe the fire was started by a store employee. The employee is a juvenile. Brooklyn Park police say an arson investigation determined a 16-year-old boy is believed to have set the fire at Festival Foods intentionally. The fire on July 16th closed the store until last week. The fire broke out before 6 p.m. on a Sunday evening in July, and the 40 to 50 people inside got out safely. Deputy Police Chief Mark Bruley says no motive was given in the arson.
The Animal Humane Society in Golden Valley is helping animals who are dealing with hardships after deadly hurricanes in Texas and now Florida. As reporter Sonia Goen shows us, it's going to be a long recovery for people and their pets.
Really, we weren't sure what to expect.
The Animal Humane Society's critical response team sprung into action after Hurricane Harvey wreaked havoc in Houston.
We could tell that Houston SPCA was just overwhelmed with animals.
They were on the front lines, working in whatever capacity needed.
We are triaging animals that came in as strays, that had injuries, that had illnesses, that had obvious signs of just being stranded in floodwaters.
The crew also worked at another shelter where they cared for horses and donkeys that were rescued from rising floodwaters.
So all of a sudden you have all these animals that don't have a place to go.
It was a situation that overwhelmed Texas shelters to a point where they ran out of space. The Animal Humane Society also brought back 100 dogs and cats from down south. Now the move will allow shelters in Texas and Florida to take in more animals who were displaced during the storms.
We know we can adopt them out. We have the community, we have the resources, and we know that we can get those animals into some great homes here in Minnesota.
Meet Nitro, the 2-year-old Siberian Husky, just arrived at the Animal Humane Society from Texas. He's one of many pets that are being prepared for adoption.
Some need a little extra medical care, some need a little extra TLC.
When it comes to Nitro, he's hoping to attract a new family with his big blue puppy dog eyes and playful spirit. In Golden Valley, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
And all of the animals brought to Golden Valley were in shelters waiting to be adopted before Hurricane Harvey hit. None are pets who lost their homes during the storm. Now to a story update on the Plymouth fire chief and the Minnesota group helping in Florida after Hurricane Irma. Plymouth Fire Chief Roger Coppa is among a group of about 14 Minnesota emergency workers that left Friday as part of the Minnesota All Hazard Incident Management Team. We spoke with Chief Coppa briefly this morning, Tuesday morning. The storm created delays for them driving to Florida, but the team caught a few hours of sleep on cots in an Orlando fire station before journeying down to the Florida Keys today. They are expected to assist efforts in the Keys at the Monroe County Emergency Center. The funeral for a Wayzata police officer on Thursday is expected to draw a huge overflow crowd and will have an impact on traffic in Plymouth. Plans are underway as more than 36 police departments are expected to send officers to honor Wayzata officer William Matthews. The funeral will be held at the Wayzata Free Church on County Road 101 in Plymouth starting at 11 o'clock Thursday morning. There will be an impact on traffic, and if you commute on Metrolink bus route 776, there will be a detour and no service on Highway 101 between 394 and Medina Road. Also, if you use the Dunkirk or St. Philip's Church park and ride lots, you are urged to use the Station 73 park and ride on Highway 55 instead to allow for the expected large turnout for the funeral service. For many Latino residents in the Northwest metro area, these are difficult times. That is true for some Hispanic students at North Hennepin Community College. They fear for their future because of possible immigration changes. Eric Nelson joins us now with more on that. Eric?
Yeah, Alex and Mike, these students are trying to cope with the unknown status of a U.S. immigration policy established under President Obama known as DACA, or Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. In some ways, they are walking on hot coals, and it can be stressful trying to balance real-world worries with school and jobs.
Are they concerned? Yes. Is it more than just Latino students who are concerned? Absolutely. It has to do with a lot more than just DACA and immigration. It has to do with the livelihood of our communities, what they look like, and so forth.
Now, September is Hispanic Heritage Month, and today North Hennepin hosted a Latino Heritage event. There were speakers and alumni on hand who talked about their experiences at the college. Currently, there are 380 Latino students at North Hennepin, which is 7% of the total enrollment. DACA was a dominant topic at the event. The program could be slowly phased out in the next couple of years, and that may have serious repercussions for some.
When you have a program that is protecting more than 800,000 people and has existed for 5 years and been incredibly successful and incredibly popular, to end it so abruptly and without anything else to replace it is doing a disservice to our children.
The so-called dreamers are undocumented immigrants who were brought here as kids and went to school in the U.S. Immigration lawyer Margaret Martin says it's problematic that the government initially took information from the dreamers to protect them, but now could use that info to turn over to immigration enforcement agents. Mike?
All right, thank you. Well, good news for Brooklyn Park homeowners. Property values are going up. The bad news, at least for homeowners whose values have skyrocketed, you will likely be paying more in property taxes. Under a preliminary budget approved Monday night, the city's budget in 2018 would go up to $51 million, a 4.5% increase. For the median valued home, it would mean a tax decrease of about $6 less a month. However, homeowners who experience double-digit property value increases will be paying at least $3 more a month. The bright side, there's less overall tax burden on homeowners due to new development in the city.
Robbinsdale police are looking for input about the use of body cameras. The department is planning to implement them next year and just finished a draft policy of how they should be used. It includes the circumstances when cameras should be running and when they can be turned off. It also outlines how long the footage should be saved, and the policy is posted on the city's website. You can comment on the policy by email now or at 2 public meetings coming up on September 21st and October 3rd. Still ahead on CCX News, it is no sweet surprise. Up next, what having a sweet tooth could mean for your health.
Plus, Armstrong battles Blaine in a close match in girls tennis. We'll have the highlights later in sports.
But first, the humidity and temperatures are on the rise. Thursday, we may even reach 90 degrees. We'll be right back. It is no secret that too much sugar in our diet can be bad for overall health.
But experts say that sugar can be just as addictive as drugs or alcohol. And in this week's Health Check, Elaine Cleveland goes further into the consequences of sugar addiction.
Take a trip to any store that sells food and you'll see items featuring vast amounts of sugar displayed prominently.
You are my candy girl.
Everything from candy to energy drinks to fruit juice.
And you got me wanting you.
It's no surprise considering Americans' obsession with sugar.
No one is saying sugar's bad.
Dr. Roger LaRoche is an addiction specialist with Allina Health. And while sugar in moderation isn't bad, it can become a problem if you consume too much of it.
Obesity, high triglycerides, stroke, hypertension, all of that, any cardiovascular disorder is much amplified because of sugar and the effect of too much sugar in the system.
Yet despite the obvious health concerns of too much sugar consumption, Dr. LaRoche says sugar can be addictive, thanks to an abnormality in the brain's reward system called the nucleus accumbens.
Sugar is a very potent activator of the nucleus accumbens. And some people are genetically predisposed to that, others not so much.
For some people, sugar can be just as addictive as cocaine or gambling. But addiction is different than, say for instance, having a sweet tooth.
Addiction means we are maladapted in our attempt to get sugar, in our preoccupation with sugar, in our consumption of sugar, and with consequences of that consumption.
He says people with an addiction to sugar generally know it, but weaning yourself off of sugar can be a challenge. So it's important to have a plan.
Be open and seek partnership with your spouses, your family, your friend. Talk with your physician.
Most people with a sugar addiction also have health consequences, which is why Dr. LaRoche says it's imperative to get help.
High sugar levels in our system ultimately will be our demise.
For Health Check, Blaine, Cleveland, CCX News.
Wean yourself off of sugar. Experts say you can cut down on packaged and processed foods, cut out sugary drinks, and don't quit cold turkey. Rather, decrease your sugar intake gradually. For a list of tips, go to our website, ccxmedia.org. Still ahead, a Brooklyn Park Elementary School gets a surprise visit from a Minnesota Timberwolves player.
But first, the Cooper girls soccer team is off to a strong start this fall. We'll hear from the Hawks next in sports with John Jacobson.
I'm John Jacobson with sports. The Cooper girls soccer program is improving, and the Hawks come into Tuesday night with a 4-1-1 record. Jay Wilcox has more on Cooper soccer.
While they were cautiously optimistic, the Cooper girls weren't sure they'd get off to as strong of a start as they have after graduating some key players, including standout goalkeeper Deja Schwichtenberg.
It's been really fun. We got pretty much a brand new team, but a lot of us are girls that have been playing with each other or grown up together, so it's pretty much just like more of a family community out there on the field.
We had some pretty good success last year, so I knew the two girls coming in, Jordan and Bella, because they're good family friends, and knowing where they play and the success that we were keeping moving from last year, I was hoping that we were going to have a good start, and it just, that it happened, it was awesome.
You know, from a soccer perspective, it's been their ability to possess, allows us to play a little more offense and a little less defense. We get a few more chances, and that allows for a few more goals, and so far it's worked out really well for us.
After starting the season with 4 straight shutout wins, the Hawks lost a close 3-2 game to De La Salle. It was good to face a talented team like that.
Yeah, I think it came at the perfect time for us. We were 4-0, feeling good about that. We're playing a tough opponent at their home field. They have some really talented players.
Cooper moved into Class A in girls soccer in 2015, so advancing in the playoffs is more of a possibility now. The Hawks got some confidence in a playoff loss last fall. They lost just 1-0 to eventual state champion Benilde St. Margaret's in the Section 5A quarterfinals.
I mean, it was a bummer that they ended up scoring towards the end of the game after we've been holding them off for so long, but knowing that we held them off for that long, I think, yeah, that definitely was a boost of confidence for us.
This fall, the Cooper girls hope a great first couple of weeks translate into a season full of success. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
It's senior night this evening, Tuesday, as Cooper's girls host Richfield at 7 o'clock in the second game of a doubleheader. The Armstrong girls tennis team had won 4 of its previous 5 matches going into Monday's conference match against Blaine. First singles play, and Blaine's Andrea Pratt serving to Nicole Snezhko, and Snezhko gets the forehand winner on the way to a 6-love win. At number 2 singles, Olivia Troy of Blaine serves to Mallory Leighton, who uses a nice backhand return to set up a forehand winner. Leighton rolls to a 6-2, 6-love win. Armstrong's Caitlin Moe with a good serve that leads to a forehand winner. Moe beats Abby Bentz 6-1, 7-5 as the Falcons win 3 of the 4 singles matches. To number 1 doubles, Blaine's J.Lo O'Brien and Shea Peterman in the far court, and they take the point in a good match, 6-4, 6-3 over Lucia Scolatti and Renee Brunner. Blaine's Anna Plankers and Faith Bartol win at second doubles, and the Bengals sweep the doubles matches, and they edge Armstrong 4-3. Keeping a busy schedule is nothing unusual for a lot of high school athletes. Case in point is Wayzata High School junior Jake Ogle, who is the subject of this week's Sports Jam Spotlight story on CCX Sports Jam. Here's Jason Malillo with a clip from that story.
Right now, Ogle is a starting linebacker for the Wayzata football team. He'll dedicate himself to Trojan football until the season is over, and then immediately transition to club soccer, where he plays for Minnesota Twin Stars Academy. It's a schedule that makes you tired just hearing about it.
My off-season schedule last year, so football ended, and the day after football ended, soccer practice started, and Coach Brown's in, new coach, which had us lifting every day at the high school. So what I would do is after school I'd lift from 3:30 to 4:30. I'd go to yoga from 4:45 to 5:45. I'd have soccer from 6 to 8, and then I'd do homework. So that was every single night.
He stays busy. He stays busy. You know, he does a phenomenal job of making sure that he's committed to both. And I think it just speaks to his maturity, his ability to kind of be focused on what he wants to do and say, if these are the things that I want to do and this is the result I want.
You can see the rest of the Jake Ogle story and more this week on Sports Jam. Watch it through Wednesday at 3:30, 6:30, and 9:30 p.m. here on CCX. That's all for sports. Mike and Alex, back to you.
All right, John, thanks. Up next, talk about a good first impression.
A new Minnesota Timberwolves player helps inspire kids at a Brooklyn Park school. That's coming up when we come back.
And finally, you can count students at Brooklyn Park's Crestview Elementary as some of the first in the state to meet new Timberwolves shooting guard Jamal Crawford.
Good job. We came here to surprise you guys, and obviously we didn't want to come empty-handed, so we brought some school supplies for you guys and we can pass them out.
Crawford visited several different classrooms at Crestview, surprising the students with backpacks and school supplies, and surprising some teachers with $100 Target gift cards for their classrooms. Crawford partners with World Vision on the school visits, and this stop was his first school in Minnesota. Crestview's principal hopes that Crawford's visit inspires the students to work hard in school and give back to others.
I think he can be an inspiration to our students because, you don't become an NBA basketball player overnight, and so it's lots and lots of hard work and sticking with it.
All 320 students at the school received school supplies from Crawford. And when a couple of teachers asked some of the younger students if they knew who he was, their first guess was, is he a principal? So they've got some good role models over there at Crestview.
It's really setting a good example for kids, giving back and this sort of thing.
Absolutely, very kind of Crawford. He apparently does that a lot in his hometown of Seattle, and I'm sure there will be more Minnesota schools to come.
And I bet you the teachers love the $100 for their classroom.
Yes, absolutely. That does it for us. Thanks so much for joining us.
And we'll see you back here again Wednesday starting at 4.